So to understand what a trapped emotion is, you first of all need to realize that the human body is a very complex energy field. If you look at your hand, for example, that hand looks solid. But if you were to magnify your hand under a tremendously powerful microscope, you could zoom into the size of a single individual atom. And if you looked inside that atom, you'd see there's really nothing in there but empty space and some little infinitesimally tiny energies zipping around at the speed of light. And that is actually what you are. That's what we all are. We're beings of pure energy, ultimately. Now, we know we can measure thoughts electronically, and we believe that emotions also can be measured, and that they each have their own specific frequency or vibration. So you have very high vibration frequencies of emotion, like pure joy and pure love, and at the very bottom you have emotions of shame, and you've got down there on the low end, low vibrations, you've got things like depression and anxiety and disgust and grief and so on. Well, when you're feeling an intense emotion, what happens is your whole being can take on this new vibrational energy. Your whole body can be vibrating with that emotional resonance of anger or frustration or depression or whatever it might be. And it's during those times when you're feeling that intense emotion that sometimes it's too much for the body to take, and that energy, that emotional energy, can become stuck in the body or trapped in the body. And we refer to this as a trapped emotion.
Trapped emotions are inhabiting different parts of your body, and they're affecting the tissues in your body, and sometimes they create pain. And if you track down a trapped emotion, sometimes as you release it, you'll notice that the pain will immediately diminish. Sometimes it takes a number of trapped emotions to be released before you'll notice a lot of pain gone. But usually, by our experience, we've found that pain just kind of goes down and down and down until oftentimes you don't have any pain left. And that's a wonderful thing, to be able to get rid of your pain in such a simple and quick way.
And that's really one of the first ways that we comprehended what this emotional baggage that we have is doing to us, because we saw in a practice where many people were coming to us because of their physical pain, we saw physical pain go away by releasing this emotional baggage. Let me explain to you why this is. You see, when you develop a trapped emotion, it's a little ball of emotional energy from about the size of a baseball to about the size of a volleyball, we think. And these trapped emotional energies will lodge in the body. And then they do two things to you. They will distort the normal energy field of the body. Now, when you distort that normal energy field of the body, you're ultimately distorting the body itself, the tissues themselves, because that's all the body is an energy field. And so as you distort that energy field, you're interfering with the chemical reactions taking place within those tissues. You're interfering with the flow of chi energy. You're interfering with the flow of blood and lymph to some degree. And so this is one of the big reasons, the big reason we believe, why these trapped emotional energies cause physical pain. But then they affect us in another way too. You can think of every trapped emotion as being like a dual-edged sword, because they have two effects. They have a physical effect, but then they have this mental emotional effect. Because you see, every trapped emotion that you have continues to vibrate into your body and out into the universe their specific frequency of energy. So for example, if you have a trapped emotion of anger in the body, you're going to feel more prone to that emotional energy. I had a man that came into my office one day who was suffering from severe back pain. It was about a 9 on a 0 to 10 scale. And I tested him and found he had a trapped emotion of anger that was causing his low back pain. I tested using the emotion code. This had occurred about 20 years before. And he remembered what had happened. He'd been through something really difficult. I released the trapped emotion, and the pain went from a 9 to a 0 that fast. It was amazing. He was ecstatic, and it was kind of miraculous for him, and I was grateful that it worked so well. But the interesting thing is he came back to me a couple of days later, and he said, "Dr. Nelson, my back is great." He said, "I still can't quite believe how well that worked." But he said, "I have to tell you something." He said, "For as long as I can remember, I've been basically a rageaholic." He said, "I'm always yelling at my wife and my kids. I've got to watch the road rage." He said, "I've been to anger management several times, hasn't really helped me." But he said, "Since you released that emotion of anger from me, I just don't feel angry anymore. I feel kind of peaceful, and I feel really different. He said, how does that work? And at the time I remember I said, well, I really have no idea because I didn't have the understanding yet. But now what we believe is that every trapped emotion, you see, is resonating in your body at its own specific frequency. So in other words, he had a trapped emotion of anger affecting his low back. But when a situation would arise in his life where he might tend to feel angry, he would feel angry. He would slide right into that resonance, right into that vibration much more easily, much more readily than he otherwise would have. Why? Because literally part of his body was feeling anger all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's one of the most amazing things about this, you see, is that our lives are being diminished because of the emotional baggage that we're carrying, and it's invisible. We can't even see it.
Emotions can land anywhere in your body. These little balls can be in any part of your body at any time. And so, and in fact, you can even inherit emotional energy from your ancestors. When they're inherited from your ancestors, it can come from your parents or from someone further back in your line.
Let's explain a little bit about the subconscious mind. You see, we live in our conscious mind, and our conscious mind is very, very limited. It's kind of like a computer that has limited memory. Think about this. Was there something in the last week that got you in trouble that you forgot to do or to say? Was there somebody you forgot to call? Did you drop the ball somehow? Well, did you? We probably all do, right? We all do things like that. And it's because that conscious mind is very limited. But the subconscious mind is incredibly powerful. It remembers everything you've ever done, every face you've ever seen in a crowd, everything you've ever eaten or tasted or touched or smelled. The whole history of your health or disease is all in there in your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind knows about your emotional baggage. It knows what trapped emotions you have, where they are in your body, when they occurred, who was involved, everything about them. So we tap into the subconscious mind through muscle testing.